Good morning, everyone. And I thank Deccan for having taken this initiative and brought us all together today, this beautiful morning. And I'm amazed, I'm happy, delighted because this is in association with our own colleagues in North Maharashtra University, Jalgaon, which was a surprise to me because I was not aware that I'm doing this for the university and with whom Geete sir and I see Nikhil Kulkarni there, a lot of other colleagues from the university with whom we've all grown together in this journey. I guess we have students with us. Deccan, is that right? All the students with us
Yes,
today?
yes, ma'am. Correct. That is absolutely right. 95% are students, ma'am.
95% of the students. So you've given me a very, very apt and appropriate topic, which is decoding innovation, journey from student to entrepreneurship. I know it sounds like a very, very tall order in terms of covering this whole topic in 40, 45 minutes, because it is about talking of the mindset of the student and how do we try and look at the right kind of people to engage in the entrepreneurial ecosystem. Having said this, let me come to my first slide today. And I know you all are in the college life. And in college life, we're all tuned to, the typical kind of the lifestyle that we have, where we have semesters and then we have semester break and a new semester. And when your syllabus actually starts off, when that's the day where you start, getting irritated. Oh my God, I have to learn so much, study so much in this whole semester. And then we spend half of our class time in terms of assessing our teacher, saying that whether teacher is up to the mark or not up to the mark. Assessment में आधा समय हम बिता देते हैं और तब तक semester खत्म हो जाता है. And by the time 50% of the class is, wow, वो teacher कितनी अच्छी थी, the teacher was so nice. We will almost lost half 50% of our class having not gone to the teacher's class. So we are all the time in the assessment mode. We're not so much in the learning mode. At times the teachers give us some group projects, and then what happens in a group project you yourself know. So I'm not getting into all that. And when the semester ends is the time when you feel very, very happy and excited, ki khatam ho gaya, now this is done, kind of a thing. However, having said this is what is the college life all about. But a transitioning from the college life into what we term ourselves as into the career journey. And if I ask about all of you, if I ask you a question, what is your ambition? And what is that favorite position that you would like to take up in your life? I know that at least 70 to 80% of you would say that I would like to be at the topmost position in the organization that I go into. Which is my favorite position, is being a CEO. And if you don't desire to do that, then there's something wrong with you. If you don't aspire to do something really good in your life and really best in your life, there is no meaning to what we are doing today. And why do we live at all? We live because we want to make our lives very, very meaningful. And I think youth today is very, very ambitious and they really want to do the best. Today, I am speaking to you and I am assuming that the average age of this group would be between 18 to 20. While in the United States, the average age of the first startup that the student does is between 13 to 18. And by the time the kid is 18, when he is about 18 years old, is the time when he's already got into his second venture. However, in India, this journey is slightly at a step behind how the Western world is moving. I will also give you the reasons why people have got into entrepreneurial ecosystem at a very, very early age in my discussion today. I know after completing your graduation, if you're in the graduation or if you're in the post-graduation, each one aspires to do is get into a nice, beautiful job. most of us aspire to get into a job. So there is a dilemma whether I should get into a job or whether I should start my own entrepreneurial venture. And when there is a dilemma, in the dilemma, especially now that we are in the COVID times where things are changing, the new normal, where a lot of changes and disruptions are happening in the industry itself, uh, it becomes very, very tough and challenging to be all the time on your toes if you have to be in the employment market. Now, this is a very typical slide that I have shown where it states that someone says that, okay, Bangalore is a beautiful city, and Bangalore is a city where the weather is very, very nice. Bangalore is a beautiful city where there are so many corporates. The life is happening in Bangalore, and I would like to go and work in Bangalore. Having said this, when people start working, what happens in their experiences where, in about 2 to 3 years where they've been laid off. So here is a boy who says that I struggled a lot to find a job in Bangalore. It took me 6 months, but now there is no job security, even if you are a permanent employee. So there's nothing called permanency in life. So these are the struggles and challenges that people are facing even in their normal working life. Having said this, in a given normal working life, where I will be defining my work basis some CEO of a company or a promoter of the company who decides what is the work that I'm supposed to do. And as opposed to that, I become an entrepreneur myself at a very early stage in my life. And I say that I will define the vision of working of myself as well as for the people who will be associated with me. Right? So these are the two things that you need to think upon. In your brain, you need to understand that am I going to work for the vision of someone else, or and be under stress all the time whether I'll be able to sustain my job, and will I get a promotion in my job, whether I'll get a raise in my salary, and will I sustain all the economic bubbles, etc., and will there be a competitor who will want to take me, etc., etc., or get into the well of entrepreneurship where I say that I'm going to be my own boss. So this is a choice that you have to make all for yourselves. Okay. So my question to everyone here is entrepreneurship the solution to what I am speaking to you? I'm not sure whether everyone wants to get into entrepreneurship who is joined this webinar today. I'm sure when we speak of entrepreneurship, we don't know where to start from. As college students, we really don't know what is the starting point for us. Some of us are aware of what are things happening around us, but about 60-70% of the people don't know how to start this journey. I'm a student, so how could I really start my journey? The simplest way of starting your journey is when I start promoting entrepreneurship. I start looking at products, I start looking at small companies around me, and I start talking about them. I start understanding them, and I start ensuring that I speak about them at various forums and platforms. And that is what is promoting entrepreneurship. And this is what we call it as an entrepreneurial student. A lot of you have that instinct in you. Some of you come from business families. A lot of you who come from business families have actually seen, how to do business. However, not everyone comes from a business family. There may be people who are in this group today whose parents may be bankers. There may be someone whose parents may be government servants. There may be a few people whose parents may be working in the private sector. Some may be in the teaching profession. I'm not sure. You come from different versatile backgrounds. And when you come from different versatile backgrounds, it is important for you to look inside you to understand whether this excites you. If someone has brought a new product or a service in the market, do you talk about it? Do you think about it? So that is what we call as an entrepreneurial student who starts talking, thinking about entrepreneurship when he is a student. And over the period of time, when you start thinking about these products around you, maybe someone has come out with a small app. There is a small app which talks about, traffic congestion in your city. There is someone who is talking on the garbage solutions in the city, and so on and so forth. There could be multiple problems around you, and there could be multiple people who are finding solutions to the problem around you. So, from this thought of entrepreneurship is where the student will start feeling from within himself that I also want to have a business idea of my own. There are multiple examples around you. I'm sure you would have come across a lot of students who have some hobby and they have converted that hobby into a profession. There are a lot of people who've been good in their science and technology, and some experiments that they have done, and they've converted that into, into a business. I gave an example with some days back, while I was doing a session, and it's available on the YouTube as well, where we said that there was one girl who was very fond of buying second-hand books, and she would go and keep buying books and reading books. But over a period of time, she realized that there will be multiple people like me who like to read books, and they cannot afford to go and buy a new book. And that is where she came out with an app and a platform that she created. And that is now she converted her hobby into her profession, where she has an app which is only selling second-hand books. So there can be multiple things in your student life that you come across, and that is what we call it as a business idea, which gets converted into a business plan. And this is where the journey of a potential student entrepreneur actually starts. And this is where then you would have someone who helps you, a teacher or a faculty member, or your someone in your near family who is in business, who helps you realize that idea. And that is where a student entrepreneur is born. So I'm sure a lot of you who are today with me have that, what I call it as that small कीड़ा in your mind, that मुझे ये बनना है, मुझे entrepreneur बनना है. ये कीड़ा लेकर you have come into this particular class that we are going to be discussing and talking today. Now, what is it that you take from your college studies? In your college studies, someone is doing your art, someone is doing your science, someone is doing history, someone is doing AI, ML, someone is doing electronics, uh, someone is doing business administration. I'm sure most people understand the concepts intellectually. All of you understand the concept. And I'm sure teacher is teaching you a concept, is taught to you in a class. You know how, you've understood the concept and you know how to reproduce it in the examination. But we really, how many of us have actually gone back to see how do we practice this regularly and through a repeated behavior? And I'm sure if we're able to bring what we've learned in the classroom through what we call it as the practice in the regular behavior to solve a problem, to repeated behavior, is where an entrepreneur is actually born. This is the new beginning. This is the beginning that we are all discussing today, that whatever you've done for maybe 12 plus 4, 16 years, or 12 plus 3, 15 years, or 12 plus 3 plus 2, or 12 plus 4 plus 2, that the amount of years that you spend in learning so many things, is there some concept that you could put into practice and solve a particular problem and bring out what I call it as an enterprise, is where I think you will be doing a great service to this particular nation. But let me bring to you the reality. Now here, I'm sure few of you are convinced that you want to get into this world of entrepreneurship. Now, this world of entrepreneurship, startup, innovation, people say that your idea has to be innovative. Okay, your idea has to be bold, your idea has to be innovative, and you get into the real world. And here is a cartoon which is showing what I'm trying. I want you to find a bold and innovative way to do everything exactly the way I did 25 years ago. So people like me of my age is what you will be dealing with. And they are stereotyped. हर चीज इसी तरीके से करनी चाहिए और ऐसे ही होनी चाहिए. चाहे आप कितना इनोवेशन ले आओ लाइफ में, किसी भी तरीके का आप इनोवेशन ले आओ, पर वो इनोवेशन जैसे मैं लाइफ जी रही थी मुझे वैसा ही लाइफ जीना है. ऐसे माइंडसेट के लोगों के सामने यू हैव टू ब्रिंग योर इनोवेटिव प्रोडक्ट. फॉर एग्जांपल, इफ I am at the age of 53, I have been used to only using money which is the notes, रोकड़ा जिसे हम कहते हैं, वो यूज करने की मुझे आदत है. And if someone comes and gives me an option of a plastic money, I found it very difficult. So similarly, there are so many innovative products that came into the market which found real tough, challenging times for people to accept, because people are so used to doing things in a standard, a definite manner. A definite manner is that I go to the market to buy a product and come back. E-commerce found its own toughness and challenges in terms of people's acceptance. It was only because of the pandemic that we saw that there was a sudden change. But around you will find people who will say that bhai mere ko nahi badalne ka, main jaisi hu mere ko वैसे ही रहना. So this is how the clients are going to be around you. Now here is another second cartoon slide that I have brought here. When the world feels that creativity is like a training program that I'm doing with you. I do a training program and I make you creative. So here it says that thank you for calling business creative seminars. If you would like to become a creative problem solver, press this button and then, without touching any part of the telephone, and you become a. So it's not as simple as that, being creative, being innovative requires a lot of thinking, it requires a lot of dedication. And I will, in my due course of time in the session, also try and run you through some of the examples where people have done it. And you would also find a lot of big vultures. I call them as vultures. So there are huge companies. Those huge companies are only waiting for some innovative product to come by. And they're just saying, hey, kuch innovative product hai kya available? Is there a product which is available? And can I manufacture million of it? So that is what is the thought that people have. So this is the world of chaos that you are getting into. And in this world of chaos that you are trying to get into, okay, so what you're getting into is you're getting into a world of chaos. You're getting into a world which is very, very tough. It is not going to be an easy board for any one of you, because you have to struggle to ensure that the new product or the service or an entrepreneur that you want to become, you will have a lot of people to say, boss, ye nahi chalega. Iska product to fail hone wala hai. Iski service to fail hone wali hai. So this is the kind of challenge which I've shown in the screen in front of you is what you're getting in. I'm not discouraging you at all. I don't get me wrong that I'm discouraging you at all. Now this brings me to one very unique example which I would like to share with everyone. This is an example of a very, very unique, innovative company which is run by Kapil Sherke. Now, the reason why I've taken this example to share with you is because Kapil Sherke brought out the product in the market, which was a project of his college while he was doing his engineering. When Kapil was studying in Bharati Vidyapeeth in Pune, that time it was a part of Pune University, Kapil decided, he got a first prize for, in 2005, I'm talking of 2005, when he created an electric bike. And this electric bike was the 4th year project of his engineering. And there was a competition that was held in the college itself where he was judged as the best student project. he didn't stop at being called as a student project of the innovation that he had done. He decided to get into, so this is 2005 project. He started getting into competitions worldwide. So he decided in 2006, 7, 8 consecutively. He went to Europe, he was in Spain, and he went to a lot of competitions, and he started winning prizes. And the money that he would get as the winner in those competitions is what he would invest back into creating the bike as a better bike. And this is where Kapil decided that while he was in one of these shows, a Chinese company spotted him, and this Chinese company took him back to China, and he worked for that company in China to understand the complete technology and wherewithal of electric bike industry, and spent almost about 2 years in China. He came back, and in 2010 he established his own company, um, and because he felt that it was important to have an entity. So 2005 to 2010, 5 years transition for Kapil in terms of understanding that he wants to be in this space and he wants to keep on innovating the product that he's brought. And when he was innovating, and the expertise that he got in from China and from the other competitors, when you go to the competition, you also understand what is it that the others are doing. What is it which is better than what I have done? The competition is always a space to understand the competitor very, very simply, and especially in the world space, if you are able to get into a competition. In 2016, I'm sure you have heard about Bhavesh Agrawal, who was the owner of Ola some time back. He met our Kapil, who is from Pune, and gave him an investment of 3.5 crores to create his first commercial prototype. And from here, Bharat Forge, which is Mr. Amit Kalyani, who is the son of Mr. Baba Kalyani, invested 30 crores in the pre-series investment. So this has been the journey of Kapil Shelke, right from a project which was a college project to an enterprise which is being spoken of. And today he has done so much of variation. He has ensured that the bike that he is trying to produce, if it is charged, it will go to at least 100 to 150 kilometers, considering the fact that in a day, the bike travel is not more than 50, 60 kilometers, what a person does. And he has invested a lot of his time. And in the due course of time, he's created an organization, a structure, and he is leading this company. So I'm sure when I say that the journey is tough, at the same time, there are people who are passionate about what they want to do, and they ensure that they take it to a very, very conclusive end. But having said this, please also understand that innovation space or startup ecosystem is meant for those who have conviction in themselves, who are intelligent, and who are also able to upgrade themselves very, very fast. This may or may not happen if you're working for a company. If you're just an employee to the company, you have a defined KRA, that is the key result area and the performance indicators, and you work in a given domain. Either you work in one specific production side, or you're in the sales side, or you're in the R&D side, or you're in your specific domain side, but you don't do overall. But once you get into this ecosystem, it is important that at a very early age, you need to have that, what we call it as the maturity to understand how business operates. And what is most important is, how do I have a cutting edge product or a technology with which I will be able to sustain. I'll give you a few more examples which are known to you. You've all seen the example of Baiju, and the way in which he's grown, a simple man from a small village who just went in to help one of his friends to crack his IITs. So he is somebody who was not in India, he was overseas. He came to India for some time, and his friend wanted some help and support to crack the IIT. This is where he helped his friend crack the IIT, and this is where he realized that if I can help my friend crack an IIT? Why can't I get into a business venture where I'll solve this problem of multiple people who want to crack? So he himself started giving examinations of CAT. He cracked CAT 2-3 times. He cracked the interview of CRAT multiple times. He cracked IIT multiple times. And he realized that if he could do that, he could help and support a lot of people in all locations. And this is where the growth and the birth of Byju's took place. And now it's a history, and I think it's a household name. The cricket team is today wearing a t-shirt of Byju's, and you see that around you. But it all started very modestly and very simply with one person understanding one problem statement. This is another homegrown entrepreneur that we have in the city of Pune, Akshay Malhotra, who runs a company called Early Salary. And he said that, towards the end of every one month, people tend to have consumed the complete salary. And this is the time in which you require some money by the time, because most of the companies have a cycle where the salary comes on 7th or 8th or 9th. So for a week, people have that issue and challenge of money and cash crunch. So this is where he set out this company called Early Salary, where he reached out to multiple companies, and the employees of those companies were given short-term loan of this 7 days of bandwidth. And this is where he's made a rocking success in the fintech market. So this is another example of somebody who was very passionate and who understood a very painful area of employees in a given company and sorted this out. And today he is doing rocking business, as you can really see. Having said this, let me also come to the fact that startup is not about glamour. Don't think that all startups become successful, but it is also a lot of hard work that people have to do to reach to what it is. Now here, having gone through some of the examples, now I'm going to take you very slowly into how you could do that. So I would like all of you who are doing this session today to think of the problems around. And I strongly feel that every big problem is equal to a big opportunity. If there is no problem, there is no solution. And if there is no solution, there is nobody who will fund you. So no one will pay you to solve a problem that does not exist. So I'm sure when you are getting it, so entrepreneurship or a startup ecosystem doesn't mean that I just bring a product in the market and sell to some of my friends and feel happy about it. It's about creating a venture where I get confidence of people who would like to make investment in me. So that is very important. So we need to think big. We need to think of big problems, and we need to convert these big problems into big opportunities by our sheer thought, dedication, and our hard work. And that's quite possible to do. So just think of the big problems around you today itself and start jotting down what could be these problems. Understand the problems. Understand who has a problem, where has the problem come out from, when does the problem occur, who has most often this problem, and what is the root cause of the problem. Who, what, which, when, where, what, where is what we need to really look at whenever we are talking of a problem. Now here I would like to give a very, very simple example that happened in IT Madras in one of the startups. And this particular startup, this is an example of Kora Mangalam in Bangalore. Again, an example of Bangalore. Bangalore, everyone is very fond of having coffee, and they like to get their cake from the coffee. Typically, in all the companies and in all the corporations, what you really see is that there is a vending machine. And the vending machine gives you a coffee, the taste of which you enjoy for first 2 days. And the third the taste is so monotonous that no one even wants to go to the vending machine and have a cup of coffee. So there were two early stage ideators who felt that this is a very important need of people who are working in companies. I'm not talking of the times today where because of COVID all the companies are closed, but I'm talking of the times which of course it's going to open up after some time, where people start working in the companies. And when they start working in the companies for 12 hours, 14 hours, what really keeps them going is that one beautiful cup of a coffee. And this is where these people realize that they reached out to a lot of executives there, and they asked the executives, would you like to have a nice coffee from the Koramangal area, which is a very famous coffee joint where people tend to go in the lunchtime. So they had to walk out of their office to reach the coffee shop to have the coffee and come back, which they could do only once in a day. So people said that we'll be very happy if at our doorsteps we get the coffee. You know, if the coffee is available to us at our doorsteps, we are happy to have that particular coffee. So problem statement is defined. So everyone says, wow, this is a problem statement. I found a problem statement and now I'm coming with a startup. And this is where these two boys started looking for, they reached out to the vendor who was giving coffee in that particular outlet, and they said that, can you give this coffee to the companies? They said, we are happy if we get business, and if you can do the transportation and logistic and everything, if you can manage, kindly go ahead and take this coffee. And that's where the story of the startup started. And the startup was very happy. They found a whole logistic chain, vendors, boys, etc., who would carry the mugs, the kettles of coffees and reach it to the desks of the corporates. And they decided that they will give this free of cost initially to do the testing of the product. And when they did the testing of the product, they found that more than 600, 700 corporates wanted to do this. And so they said, wow, we are rocking successful. We have understood a problem. We have a solution. And after a month, they realized that they can't keep giving this free of cost to everyone. And this is where they said that, well, now we'll have to charge something. Then they went on to calculated the cost and, logistic cost, the cost of coffee and everything. And then they came to the conclusion that each coffee will cost an X amount. So it was some 60 or 70 rupees per coffee. And then they reached out to the social media again. They already had a base of the clients who were already taking this. And then they felt that now that they're used to it, they will immediately buy my coffee. For a month we will have so much of revenue. So all the projections were done on the Excel sheet saying that, wow. And when they realized that from the 700, 800 people who were taking free coffee, there were only about 60 of them who said that we would like to pay up. And 60 people who paid up, in about 3 to 4 days, they started coming with a complaint saying that coffee thandi ho jati hai by the time it reaches my desk. As long as it was free, they were very happy to have it. And the moment there is a cost attached to it, this is where the company had to rethink and so I'm not getting into the details of it. And then the journey of the real startup actually happened post that. And they are in the process of redefining and doing some amount of good work. They redefine the cost structures, they redefine how things will, so the delight of the customer is taken care of. Having said this, all of them, be it Akshay Malhotra, be it the Talk Motors company that I spoke of, Kapil Shetty, everyone has gone through the transition where the delight happens to a certain extent, but the moment a customer has to pay for it is a time where, or be it by Jews, everywhere there have been cases and problems and issues of a startup founder who has to find solutions to this. And I'm sure all of you, when you think of a problem, you're also quite excited about the fact, the journey of Mark Zuckerberg. And I know Mark Zuckerberg, and I know yesterday when there was in the newspaper that Facebook is going to close down, there are a lot of howl and cry and question mark because it has become so much of a part of our life. And I'm sure if you've seen the movie Social Networking, which is a movie which is made on Mark Zuckerberg's full story, you will understand how difficult the journey is for a startup. But what is the problem that uh, Facebook actually initially, what is it that Facebook or Mark Zuckerberg, when he was a student in Harvard, what is it, the problem that he was trying to solve? He said in his own words that what I was building was this application for a Harvard student. There are 6,000 students to say, share some information about themselves and stay connected with their friends and families. And what we basically just found since then is that the application is something that almost everyone needs. So they realize that sharing information about what you do is not something that can be confined to 6,000 inmates of Harvard University alone. They said that this is something that everyone needs and everyone has an identity and they would like to express. So it is a definition of your persona, your personality that you reflect on your Facebook pages. Some like to flaunt about their hobbies, some want to flaunt about the gardening, someone wants to flaunt about going to a movie, someone likes to flaunt about socializing, someone likes to flaunt about the party that they have, and many things. It's an expression of a persona of an individual that you want to reach to people instantly, and that is what led. So that was one single problem statement of Mark Zuckerberg, and that is how do I connect to people instantly the moment they have done something. That's then this is where led to Facebook, and then the things that started getting posted on the walls, and then now you have the Facebook lives of the world, etc., etc. So this is what led to creation of what we call as the Facebook. So everyone is there to solve a particular problem. And in my previous slide, where I've mentioned that Mark Zuckerberg said that for 6 full years, I did only one thing, and that one thing was coding, coding, and coding, changing, bringing a change in my product. And I'm sure you must watch movie Social Networking to understand this. Very impressive movie if you look at it from the perspective of star. I'm sure you would have seen it also. If you've not, kindly go and see that particular movie. And this is where is the story of Facebook that we've seen. So a college, again, it's a college startup in 2004, where he was a student in Harvard from then first, the funding that came to him in 2005, and then the journey up to 2011, when he emerged into the market where he had 84 billion valuation. And today we know where Facebook stands. Let me also take you to another example of Super Maheshwari, again a Pune based. He has now gone into the unicorn category. And he's the one who realized that he was an expert in e-commerce, and he just transformed his understanding of e-commerce into a need that he realized that whenever he went abroad, he would bring toys for his kids. And this is where he realized that can I get something which is very unique on an online platform for the young parents who have very small kids, and this gave birth to what we call it as First Cry, online product for babies and baby care product. And today he has more than 700 stores across India. So this is another example of, and this is again homegrown, Pune based, Maharashtra based. I know you're in Jalgaon, but in Pune, we have had this kind of examples around us that, Quick Heal. Everyone knows Quick Heal is there in every computer. And this is Mr. Katkar, who was just running a calculator repairing shop. He was just having a small shop, and from there, we see what Quick Heal stands for. What is it that you could do? What is it? How can you define the problems? There are multiple problems. There are social problems. Even if you look at the Millennium Development Goals, which are put in by UN, these are 8 goals that I have stated in front of you. Any of these goals could be taken up by any one of you, as problem statements to solve the problem. But how do we start? So second thing is, first I define the problem. And after definition of the problem, the second lesson I would like to give to everyone who is listening to this session today is, I need to understand why, how, what. What is it that I am doing? How am I am I going to do this and why am I going to do this, is something that I really need to look at. As in the words of Vivekananda himself, who said that make that one idea your life. Think of it, dream it, leave that idea, put it in your brain, let your muscles, your nerves, your every part of your body really think only about that idea. And I'm sure you're going to be really, really successful. But you need to define that eureka moment of yours where you say that I have found an idea, which is very, very important for you. But when you're finding an idea, it is important to understand the context in which you have found that particular idea. What is the context around it that brings that idea? For example, in case of Facebook, the context was social networking. Or in case of Byju's, it was the context was tutoring, which was a very, very common thing across India that everyone used to run after tutors. So the context, social context was very, very strong in case of all these companies who became very, very successful. It is also important, how will you find the context? You find the context if you start meeting people, talking to people, understand how they live, what are their challenges, and this will give you different kinds of insights. So for which it is important for you, and today you would say that you cannot meet people physically, but there are networking uh, ways by which you could understand the livings of people through the internet medium, which is quite possible for you to do. And while you are trying to find a context, you need to look at what is the human element in that, human experience in that. You need to analyze what are the challenges and what are the opportunities, and what is it that you could make a future possibility for anyone to do. So which is very, very important. For example, there is one uh, social Ashoka social fellow in Pune, Mr. Chaturbedi, and he said that the major problem that he identified by understanding and talking to people is the problem of sanitation and the toilets, the public toilet system. And initially, because he came from US, he said that, okay, I've come from US, I have some money with me, so let me put this money into a small area where I will ensure that I will sponsor all the cleaning of the toilets, public toilets. But he realized over a period of time that he has understood the problem. He is also has some kind of money to solve the problem for a given region. But if he has to scale this, there is no answer to the scale through funding only 10 toilets in a city. If you have to clean up a lakh toilets in India, what would be the solution to it? And this is where you realize the work of toilet cleaning is not a work I want to do. And that is where he created what, using sensor technology to detect whether there was water, whether it was cleaned or not. And this is where he approached to all municipal corporations and gave the solution. The work of cleaning the toilet is of municipal corporations, should be done by municipal corporations only. But how can I aid and help? And this is where his sensor technology came very handy. And today he's doing work with few governments, including the Haryana government. And this is where the scale has actually arrived for him. It's also important that if you have to be in the startup ecosystem, you need to understand what are the networks around you. Who are the people that you surround yourself with? If you surround yourself with people who are lower than you in their thinking process and in their ambition, you will, I'm sure the slide tells you all, surround yourself with 5 losers and you become a 6th loser. Surround yourself with those who challenge you, push you, criticize you, tell you you are not up to the mark, and set benchmarks and standards for you, is the time where you will realize that you'll be able to do something good in your life, which is very important. Be it entrepreneurship journey, be it a startup journey, be it your own journey of your life, your own career, it is important that you need to have this. Build your networks very, very cautiously. Start looking at the right kind of people, develop relationships with people. If you have friends who don't inspire you and only there to say that, wow, boss, you are great, please get rid of those friends if you want to be in the startup ecosystem. And the next important thing that you need to do is start looking for mentors around you. As Isaac Newton himself said that If I have seen further, it is only by standing on the shoulders of giants. So if I have someone who is great, big enough, who can help me and support me, can I use his shoulder to look through his lenses on what I really want to do? It will be the real success for me. So it is important to find your mentor network. You need to understand that your mentor network has to be authentic 100%. Explain your passion to your mentor, explain that why of yours, and try and be persistent in whatever you really want to do with your mentor. Don't forget, gratitude is very important. Say a thank you to people when someone has helped you, which will be very, very helpful in your startup journey. And the seventh and most important thing is your habits. Our character is basically a composite of our habits. So very important habits will give rise to your values, will give rise to your leadership, and will create the impact. If you're going to be leading an organization, it is important for you to become disciplined as a leader. So unless you have the right kind of habits, you will not be able to inculcate the same kind of values in your organization. You will not be able to showcase that as leader, and you will not be able to create an impact even in your own organization, leave alone in the business community. So this is what I mentioned, and this is what Steve Jobs has been speaking about. Solve a big problem, understand the psychology, understand your why, be focused, network, have your mentors, do express your gratitude, and have the right kind of habit. If you have this, your half your battle is won. So that is very important. And I'm sure incubator is there, incubation centers are there. In Jalgaon, you have a nice, beautiful incubation center. Your people like Decoding to help you, support you in your incubation journey, and define your who, when, why, where, why, and don't be scared. Your business may or may not succeed. Don't think of the failures today. Give your best, and you will. I'm sure you're not getting into a sinking ship at all, not at all. So have conviction in yourself, have courage to get into the startup ecosystem. Thank you so much.